Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video. So over the weekend I was trying to think of some great bang for your buck 9.8 comics to invest in. So yeah, here's the list I came up with. First one is an Incredible Hulk number 377 in a second printing in a 9.8. This one's pretty great. I think, you know, if you're on a little bit more of a budget, you can consider 377 sort of in the normal print. But in the second printing, I really like the eye appeal of this black cover. And it looks really good on the census for kind of an early 90s book. So, you know, definitely at the price, I think you're getting a pretty great bang for your buck on this one. 75 9.8s in a blue label, universal blue label, a 1 to 75. That's pretty great. 17.9% is the 9.8 ratio. So pretty great ratio for an early 90s comic as well. A 1 of 75. Yeah, and I've talked about this one and recommended this one in the past as well. It's just a great one at the price point. It is sort of trending up decently, I would say. A recent one I saw sell for $275. And I remember it was probably about a year and a half ago where I did make a video and I was like, this is a great kind of underfollowed one, early 90s one to consider. And a few of them were going under 200 at that point. And it still, you know, was looking great on the census. I thought under 200, it was a fantastic buy. Most selling for right around 275. I did see that one. There's one on eBay right now for $329.99. So, you know, you might want to check that one out. There's only one on eBay, so you might want to be a little more patient and try to get it under 300 in an auction. But, yeah, Incredible Hulk 377, it's like first appearance of Professor Hulk. I don't really like to call it Professor Hulk, just like first appearance of New Hulk, where he's not like, you know, Hulk smash, like he can actually talk like Bruce Banner kind of as the Hulk. I don't know if that's a Professor Hulk. When you think Professor Hulk, you think of like in the MCU, sort of how he looked, like he was sort of half Professor, half Hulk. He still looks like Hulk in this one, but he is like more smarter, I guess. But pretty great, you know, early 90s key issue that's pretty affordable to think about in a 9.8 for sure. Next one is Punisher War Journal number 6. This one's a really good bang for your buck, I think, too. First time Wolverine and Punisher fight in comics, duke it out, classic Jim Lee cover. This is one, like off and on, I've been really close to kind of pulling the trigger on. Really quick, I'll just mention here, I was kind of torn between which Jim Lee cover to put on. A Wolverine 27, I think, is a good bang for your buck. Kind of, you know, these are both just really good, affordable Wolverine key issues in a 9.8 to think about. Jim Lee Wolverine key issues. But Punisher War Journal 6 we'll focus on. 461 9.8s in a blue label. 57.3% is the 9.8 percentage. And so for this one, I saw one sell in an auction. To give you a good idea of the price range here, you can get this one. I saw one go for $142.50. So that's just a great value. That's going to be pretty tough to get under $150. Saw another one sell for $169.99. But a really good fair value for this one is kind of $150 to $200. If it's like super well centered, looking awesome, like, you know, good wrap around the spine and everything, good colors, I'd consider up to $200 for this one. I think it's pretty much worth that. Especially if you're a Jim Lee fan, and yeah, first Wolverine Punisher kind of sells itself. This one, yeah, Punisher War Journal 6 is definitely a good bang for your buck 9.8. Next one is Tale of the Teen Titans number 44. Pretty much this one's like first appearance of Nightwing. As we know, Nightwing, I think there's a really old first appearance of Nightwing, but this is Dick Grayson becomes Nightwing, and that's pretty much how everyone knows Nightwing. Great key issue, DC key issue of the era, I think. This one, like most of these, I've sort of noticed are actually just kind of slowly but steadily trending up. This one is no exception. 1008 9.8s in a universal blue label. So yeah, this one's a popular DC key for sure. 21.4%, the 9.8 percentage. Not too bad there. You know, nothing to really pay up for, but a good, you know, decent sort of a late 80s 9.8 ratio. I think this is kind of mid to late 80s book. A few sales prices here for Tale of the Teen Titans 44, $521.88, and saw one sell for $675.49. So I'll mention this one trending up decently. Remembering this one going, you know, sort of right around a little bit under 400 maybe. Even I remember it was probably about 2 years ago. This one was a little bit under 300, kind of in that 275 range. So, you know, 2 years later, we're 521.88, 675.49. So trending up well, and this is one I've wanted off and on in the past, and there was one a long time ago that was, yeah, I think it was around $250 that I got outbid on or whatever it was, and one I do not have, but absolutely one you want to consider. Tale of the Teen Titans 44, origin of Dick Grayson. Or no, not on this one. This is what is it? First appearance of Jericho. Origin of Dick Grayson is another one we'll cover here. Okay, so next one here. Kind of a 3-for-1 on this one. We'll focus on Amazing Spider-Man number 4, but kind of some big modern first appearances to consider that are, decent bang for your buck, I think. So Amazing Spider-Man number 4, Cindy Moon becomes Silk. Darth Vader number 3, first appearance of Dr. Aphra in the 9.8, I think is one to think about. These are pretty much all under 500 too. And Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 51, first appearance of Jennika, who becomes the 5th Ninja Turtle. I think these are kind of a decent bang for your buck. Modern first appearances of pretty popular modern characters. But Amazing Spider-Man number 4, Cindy Moon becomes Silk. I think there's like an Amazon Prime Silk show that's coming, so I think there's probably a little bit of potential. I think that has a chance to hit hard. Like any kind of different type of Spider-Man usually does really well. There's a 4,634 9.8s of Amazing Spider-Man number 4. It's not one of the more, tougher ones in a 9.8. 75.9% is the 9.8 ratio, which is pretty terrible for a book that's like very heavily graded. A lot of times when they're heavily graded, that'll start to tick down and it'll be a tougher 9.8, but pretty much 75% of them that are sent to CGC are 9.8s for this Amazing Spider-Man number 4. So 355 was a price I saw in an auction. I think that's like a price to aim for. I don't think you want to pay much more than over 350 for this one right now. I think if you can get it for around 350, maybe a little bit under, and then that Silk show comes out, you'll like the prices in that kind of environment. But it's not a really tough 9.8, so I try to get it under 350 for an Amazing Spider-Man number 4. And definitely, consider Darth Vader 3 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 51 as well. Okay, next one I do have, it's a Silver Surfer 44. So if you notice this one, I was able to pick up in the last month or two. Silver Surfer 44 in the newsstand edition 9.8. A little bit of a wonky centering on it. I don't think it's like the perfect 9.8, but couldn't turn it down with the newsstand in a Silver Surfer 44. You don't see the newsstand edition for Silver Surfer 44 hardly ever. I'll get into the price I paid, but 313 9.8s in a blue label for Silver Surfer 44. I got 2 in a direct edition 9.8. This is kind of one of my favorite 9.8s to collect. Great cover, I think, as well. I think Infinity Gauntlet's kind of underrated. A 1 of 313. I got 2 of them in the direct and 1 in the newsstand now, which is pretty fantastic. 21.5% is the 9.8 ratio. So in the direct edition, seeing a few sell, one was for $548.99. That's getting back to sort of like, this one pulled back. That's sort of back to the range where it was when this book was pretty hot during kind of the coronavirus comic book market. I will say that one, $548.99, it was in a new case with like the cool kind of Silver Surfer CGC case with some of the graphics on it, so maybe that went for like $50 more because it was looking really good in a new case. Another one I saw in an auction, and this was about a month or two ago, admittedly, it went for $380. I saw that one go in an auction and I was like, okay, this one's pulling back, it's probably a decent one to purchase. And I did mention it as I think an honorable mention on our cooling down video that we did quite a while ago. So the 44 9.8 in a newsstand. I ended up paying $900 for this one, $900 US, and I think that's a pretty solid deal. I mean, a bit of a wonky centering. I would have liked it to kind of just look perfect, but I think in the past I've saw one of these sell. It was like right around 1,400, I believe it was. That was like the only ever one I ever saw on the internet. So this is just one when I saw it, the newsstand edition. It was just one I wanted to make kind of the deal work somehow. But in a direct or newsstand edition, I think Silver Surfer 44, pretty great. Hopefully under $500, I think you can, maybe even closer to $400 still in kind of a stealthy auction if you're patient on a Silver Surfer 44 9.8. All right, next one I do have as well. Amazing Spider-Man number 607, the classic J. Scott Campbell Black Cat cover, I think. I think in the modern age, this is kind of a really good Black Cat key to target. Like certainly Amazing Spider-Man 194, first appearance Black Cat, that's like the one to get. But I do have a feeling like Black Cat could really get into some pop culture here, and like, I don't know of any rumors, but in the next 5 or 10 years, I could see Black Cat or maybe even Silver Sable I've mentioned in past videos, showing up in a Spidey movie. And this is, for me, is kind of like the modern Black Cat key issue to get alongside Amazing Spider-Man 194, which is a bit of an older book and way more expensive in a 9.8. 586 9.8s, a 1 of 586. 40.5% is the 9.8 percentage. And most recent sales, one sold for $280 and one sold for $319.99. All these are eBay sales. This one, I did purchase this one about 2-ish years ago for $170, like it was $170, $180 maybe. And that was right around the fair value. So this one, yeah, kind of slowly but steadily trending up as well. Just a super eye-appealing, like I just wanted it for the sexy cover basically when I bought it. So I think other people are thinking the same. Now it's around $300 from kind of $170 a few years ago. Good to see that one trending up. Next one I do have, I didn't bring it out though, but Avengers 684. This is pretty much first full appearance of Immortal Hulk, or when Hulk gets his immortal powers. This is a good, affordable one, I think, in the modern age to consider. 1,925 9.8s, not a tough 9.8, 81.4% of all graded copies are 9.8s. Saw one sell just recently, I think it ended yesterday or the day before, in an auction for $122.50 US dollars. So Avengers 684, definitely, you know, if you're a big Immortal Hulk fan, you want to consider this one. I got the Immortal Hulk #1 in a 9.8 as well. Love that cover. Yeah, that's just, for me, that's going to be like a modern classic Alex Ross Hulk cover. I also like Avengers 682 in the second printing, where Immortal Hulk is kind of on the cover, and that's his cameo appearance in 682. So all these are kind of, you know, books to consider. I think they're all sort of, you know, $122.50 for 684. I think 682 in the second print is about the same price. And I think Immortal Hulk #1 is a little bit more expensive, maybe like $150 to $175 on that one in a 9.8. But yeah, I think Immortal Hulk is a pretty cool modern first appearance to think about. And, you know, they could easily kind of make Hulk immortal in the movies, and maybe these ones will have another leg up, but it's just, they're just cool modern ones at the price. All right, next one I do have as well. Batman Beyond #2 in a 9.8. So Batman Beyond #2, I made a video kind of like a year ago mentioning that Batman Beyond #2 is when Terry McGinnis actually puts on the Batman Beyond costume. So the first issue is first appearance of Terry McGinnis, but this one is kind of first appearance of Terry McGinnis as Batman Beyond, I guess. So it was kind of sort of not unknown because I had read these, but it was just something that didn't really click in until about a year ago. I made that video, and I was talking to some people on the team who had mentioned it too. And ever since then, I think it's a decent trending book, and definitely one to want as a Batman Beyond fan. So there's a 64 9.8s in a blue label. Yeah, one is 64 still. This is a 1999 comic. The comic book market really cooled down in the late 90s, early thousands. I don't think this one's a very heavily printed one at all. Like Batman Beyond #1, which is why that one's like really expensive in a 9.8. 51.2%, the 9.8 percentage. $279.99, a recent sale on this one. They seem to be selling sort of in that high 200s to right around $300 range. I purchased mine for, it was like $150 something in an auction. Pretty stealthy auction before, you know, a lot of people were really looking at this one. I think I bought it before I made that video. Now they're going $279 to $300. I still think it's a decent bang for your buck, and it's trending up nicely. And, you know, you want the first issue of Batman Beyond #1 for sure, but if you're the biggest Batman Beyond fan, Batman Beyond #2 I think is absolutely one to want. Okay, I will say too, Superman Batman #22 in a 9.8 is first Batman Beyond in DC continuity. I've saw a few of those go for kind of under $150 in the last 6 months or so. That might be another one to think about, good bang for your buck as a Batman Beyond fan. Okay, next one's Batman 436. So this one's origin of Dick Grayson. Robin, getting those two mixed up earlier. Also, first appearance of Tim Drake in this one. Cool George Perez cover. I think this is a really good value in the Batman, you know, comics key issues in the 9.8. I think the thing with this one too, as well, is, you know, maybe it heated up a little bit getting into the Batman movie, but then once it was clear that there's not going to be like a Tim Drake Robin in the Batman movie, maybe some people who were speculating on that decided to sell this one, and some of the prices are looking a little bit better. This one's kind of pulling back, I would say, Batman 436. 159.8s in a blue label, so yeah, it looks great on the census actually. 18.6% is the 9.8 percentage. This is one I made like a $100 9.8 video like 2.5 years ago, and this one was on it, and I was like, wow, it looks pretty awesome on the census, and it's only like $100, but you know, it's trended up in price now. Recent sales, $305.41. And I saw one sell on Comic Link, that the auctions that just recently ended like 3 or 4 days ago, for $220. Admittedly, I saw that one and it had a weird miswrapping where pretty much like the top of the comic was cut off, so it was a bit of a weird miswrapping. I almost didn't expect it to go for that much because I was actually thinking of getting in there maybe. I got a CBCS 9.8 in a Batman 436, but I still kind of want a CGC. So I think anywhere kind of under 300 for a really great centered one. First appearance of Tim Drake, I think Batman 436 is a good bang for your buck. And even like a Batman 635, I know I touched on this on a recent video. I think these are two books that, you know, they have nothing to do with the Batman movie, so they're not really like heating up. If anything, maybe they're lulling because people who speculated on them maybe being in the Batman movie, some of these characters aren't. So Batman 635, first Jason Todd's Red Hood could be another one to think about. And that one's pulling back too. Yeah, that one was sort of 500 to 550. I remember a few auctions going there about a year ago, maybe longer ago. And now that one's sort of 350 to 400. So pulling back on a Batman 635. Okay, next, bang for your buck, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #1. The Hamilton Comics version in a 9.8, I think is a pretty great bang for your buck. Power Rangers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, pretty huge brand, I would say. And there's still like a lot of collectors out there that like go to the cons and get their signatures and stuff like that. I'm not that big into the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, but I absolutely growing up, like I was watching tons of Power Rangers in the mornings before school and stuff. So I really want this one, to be honest, just for that kind of reason. It's not the first appearance of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in comics. That's like in some Japanese trade publication that you pretty much can't even get it in a 9.8. But this is kind of the first solo title, first full appearance of our first comic book appearance, maybe of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers #1. 256 9.8s in the blue label, 42.7%. The 9.8 percentage. Yeah, it's a Hamilton comic, so probably a little more lower printed than like a Marvel or DC book. There's only 256 in a 9.8, which is pretty great, I think. This one kind of pulling back as well. Saw one sell, $290.24. Another one for $299.99. I've had my eye on this one for like the last year, pretty much, and there's been quite a few that had sort of sold around 400. So I think the range is kind of 300 to 400, but if you wait for like a really stealthy auction, you might get it for $290.24. I think that's a fantastic deal for this one. Yeah, I think there's some potential there. Like Power Rangers is just, especially the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, is just a huge brand, I think, and there's still a big cult of following, so that's got some potential. Okay, next one mentioned on a few recent videos, I think. Swamp Thing #50 in a 9.8. Good bang for your buck. Justice League Dark, first appearance of Justice League Dark. Yeah, definitely if there was ever kind of some Justice League Dark promotional or you know, some movie or show that was teased or something like that, this one has huge upside, I would say. But if not, just a great cover, you know, one in the 1980s that you can absolutely enjoy. Good collector item too. There's 117 9.8s in a blue label, so like a 1 of 117 first appearance of Justice League Dark. That's sounding like a good book to have. 28.5%, the 9.8 percentage, decent. Price is $299.99, and saw one sell for $329. So yeah, just right around that $300 mark, I think is pretty much a screaming value. This is just one to enjoy too. I feel like it's just a great one to look at, and there's some potential there with Justice League Dark. I do think this is the first full appearance of Justice League Dark. You get, I think the thing in this one is you get John Constantine sort of working with like Deadman and Spectre, and that to me is like, okay, because in 49, some people say that is Swamp Thing 49. You don't really get John Constantine like working and collaborating with them. That doesn't happen until 50. So I do think this is first full appearance of Justice League Dark. Yeah, pretty awesome. Bang for your buck right now. And last one on the list, Batman Adventures Mad Love, Origin of Harley Quinn. A really tough 9.8 in the 1990s to consider. A good bang for your buck on this one, I think. 293 9.8. It's got that black cover. It's tough in the 9.8. Going to show all the spine ticks and everything like that. And yeah, this shows it. 16.9% of all graded copies are 9.8s. So that's really low for like an early 1990s book. Most 1990s books kind of 30 or 40% or even 50% of them are 9.8s. The lower the better with the ratios. 16.9% of all graded copies are 9.8s. Yeah, you love that about a Mad Love. You get a great cover on this one as well. Bruce Timm, Paul Dini collaboration on this one. The kind of Batman Adventures Legends, Batman Animated Legends, I would say. So recent sale on this one, $469. Also saw one sell for $499. So right around, yeah, a little bit under 500, I think is just a great deal for Mad Love. I've argued this one, you know, Batman Adventures 12, it has done really well. It kind of trended up. This one's kind of just hung around sort of the 400 to 500 level for quite a while. I think this one could be 600 or 700 easy, just given the toughness of this one in a 9.8. And I love the cover. Yeah, the cover is just way better than Batman Adventures 12, in my opinion. So it's just a super collectible cover. Yeah, decent bang for your buck there on a tough 1990s 9.8 Mad Love there. All right, we'll leave it at that. Yeah, I got through 12 pretty quick, hopefully. So yeah, just wanted, you know, these are, I got a lot of these, and I think this is one of my kind of favorite areas of 9.8 comics to invest in. You know, books that are under $500, but probably got, you know, most of these are under 500, but still, you know, got a lot of potential, looking like a great collector item. And yeah, you get a good bang for your buck on these, I think, for sure. All right, team. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you on the next one. If you're liking my content, please subscribe and hit that bell, and I'll keep you updated on future videos.